Hi, my name is Bernard Fennessy, and today I'd like to talk to you about the energy consumption and usage of my Xbox One. This device is something that I use quite frequently in my day-to-day life. Because of its frequent use, I wanted to investigate how the Xbox One uses energy by taking it apart and looking at its different components. Unfortunately, taking apart an Xbox One voids its warranty, and because I'd like to avoid that, I've let other people on the internet do it for me. The following pictures I'll show you all come from a website called iFixit and their blog about how to take apart the Xbox One. I found it very informative and very helpful to see the inner workings of this Xbox. I'd like to start with all of the inputs on the back of the device. Here in red we have the input for the power for the device. This is just a standard cable that Microsoft has developed so that the Xbox can draw power. Typically, while on, the Xbox draws about 150 watts of power. The next two boxes are those in orange, one of which is an HDMI in and one of which is an HDMI out. The HDMI out is what the Xbox uses to send audio and visual data directly to your TV, and the HDMI in can be used with other systems to send inputs from, let's say, the Xbox One's Kinect to your Xbox. Now in the yellow we have the digital audio optical out, which is essentially an older version of the HDMI cord. It does essentially the same function but for older TVs and other devices. In the green box we have the two USB 3.0 outputs. These can be used to connect other devices such as laptops or external hard drives to your Xbox. In the blue box we have the port which connects your Kinect to the Xbox One. The Kinect is essentially a glorified camera which tracks your movements and can be used for different games on the Xbox One. In the purple box we have the infrared output and the Ethernet port. The Ethernet port obviously is used to connect your Xbox to the internet, and the infrared output can be used for different devices and add-ons to the Xbox One. These next two pictures just show how simple it is to take apart the Xbox One by first removing its air grate and then the top bit of plastic casing. The next thing that was removed was the Wi-Fi chip. In this red box here, that is the actual Wi-Fi antenna, and then in the orange box, that is the Bluetooth antenna for the system. The rest of the other parts outside the box are just circuits to help it connect to the main motherboard inside. After that, a little speaker on the outside of the Faraday cage was removed. This speaker helps with the turning on sound for the Xbox One when you hit its on button. Next, the Faraday cage was removed and the inside components taken out. After this, the people taking apart the Xbox removed the Philips Blu-ray DVD drive. This component is where you would insert drives or different games into the console, and then it would be read by the component, and then the component would send it to the circuit board via those red and yellow wires seen in the picture. This next picture shows the inside of this component Blu-ray DVD player. The next component removed is the hard drive. This is a 500 gigabyte hard drive that Xbox is using, and it's very standard. The next item removed was another circuit board that goes on the side panel of the Xbox and takes user inputs from different buttons. In the red box shown, this is a storage space for different user inputs and audio files. The next step was to fully remove the Faraday cage and the fan from the circuit board. As you can see here, the fan has two parts, both the fan itself and then the other copper and steel component. These components help the fan to act as an actual air conditioner and keep the CPU directly underneath as cool as possible. Lastly, we have the circuit board itself, with everything else taken out of it. In the orange boxes, we have the RAM array used for processing, and in the red boxes, we have the CPU itself, which Microsoft manufactures. In the yellow box, we have the Southbridge processor, which takes inputs from the various ports on the outside of the box and decides to which processing place this goes. For example, which slot of RAM would that output or input be allotted to, and how it would go through the CPU and other components of the circuit board. The green box holds a flash memory, and it has an unknown purpose to those who took it apart. And the pink spot has the Ethernet controller, which helps control the internet connection and its different fluctuations. It's a little difficult to see the actual circuits which electricity travels through in this picture, and it's a little bit easier to see it in this next picture of the back of the circuit board. The circuits work in a binary fashion in which electricity is either being sent or not being sent through the circuit. In this way, anything that the circuit is connected to can tell what it is supposed to do based on the information given to it. And that is a simple explanation of the Xbox One. Or, in essence, it is a simple computer and an explanation of that device. As we talk about energy flow into the device, there are a couple key components that the energy and electricity flows into. Of course, the energy is going to flow into the circuit board to allow it to send messages to itself and to its different components in the circuit board. Most of this electricity is used up in the sending process or is given off in heat. This is why the fan is incredibly necessary for this device, in order to keep the temperature low and the circuits moving as fast as possible without damage. The electricity is also used to power different components such as the fan itself, the Blu-ray player, the miniature speaker inside, as well as the different switches on the front of the Xbox. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and this last picture is of the sources I used.